Hey there, this is Darsh. I'm on a tripod, blocking the Port of Brisbane. Thanks to my friends who got me up here, the community of activists working tirelessly to take down the system that is destroying the future. I'm up here, 9 meters high, on a tripod, traffic blocked behind me. They can't use the port, which is part of the economic and political system that is destroying this country, destroying our future. And I'm standing, this tripod, I don't know, can you see it? It's on Yagara, the land of the Yagara and the Turrbal people who've been fighting colonialism for 250 years. And I stand in solidarity with that fight, and I'm joining that fight to stop the colonial project that has devastated this planet, devastated communities all around the world, that spread from Europe a couple hundred years ago to steal the resources from this planet, to steal the labour of the working class people. And if we want a future, we need to bring the system to an end. Politics as usual hasn't worked. Politics as usual. Hey, stop that guy. There's a guy. Oh, there's a guy coming to try and block me. Oh yeah. So, sorry, that was... So, yeah. So the economic and political systems that are in place in Australia, that are part of the Australian project, are bringing devastating and catastrophic climate change. We've had decades of research from climate scientists telling us that we're in danger. We're in imminent danger. Decades. I remember I took my daughter to see An Inconvenient Truth 13 years ago. More than 13 years ago. She's 30 now. She was like 8. So that's like over 20 years ago. We watched An Inconvenient Truth, and I thought, surely somebody's going to do something. But here we are, decades later. We knew then what was happening. So global emissions continue to rise, despite all we know, despite the scientists telling us, and now the evidence is right in front of our faces. Bushfires, floods, droughts, catastrophic storm events. What more is it going to take? The thing that's been proven is the current configuration of politics in Australia, around the world, is not up to the problem. I'm not being ideological here. I'm not speaking from a theoretical standpoint. I'm speaking about the evidence right in front of my face. The political, economic systems are just not capable of dealing with this. I mean, we have our theories about why, and I think there's some pretty good theories, but I think it's just pretty obvious that they can't deal with it. They're going to continue this project that has devastated communities, devastated Indigenous people around the world, devastated us as working class people. And there's no end to it. The only end is change the system, break it down, create a new system, or death, mass death and destruction, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing heat waves killing people. We're seeing climate migration. We're seeing islands disappear. Vietnam. I was in Vietnam a few years ago. It's probably not viable. What a horrible thing to say. But, you know, unless we change things, these situations, these countries are not viable. So, when Australia blocks climate change, blocks action on climate change, what do? You blockade Australia, and that's what I'm doing. I'll just give you a bit of vision about what's happening. The police are here. Oh, they've moved up. I didn't realise. I can't really control which way my tripod's facing. But when I climbed the tripod, the cars were like a few hundred meters back. But I can see they're right behind me. It's probably good I didn't see they were right behind me. Would have freaked me out a bit. So I'm looking a bit wild and woolly up here. So, I'll just take a break for a sec. So yeah, a word to all the dickheads. I watched my friend's feed the other day, and I saw a bunch of dickheads like this guy posting on there. And one of you cunts came out and hit one of my friends with a tire iron. Is that what you want to do? Like the violence. Oh fuck! I just dropped my battery pack. The violence that keeps this state in place. I witnessed it yesterday when one of my friends was hit in the face with a tire iron. So fuck you. Fuck your violence. You know, that's what keeps this country we call Australia. The violence against Indigenous people. They've been fighting this fight for 250 years. I'm joining the fight to stop colonialism, to stop the theft of this land, the theft of the resources, the theft, by the way, of your labour. Your labour goes to the 1%. We're all struggling here with a cost of living crisis. We're struggling with housing. You know where your wages are going? You know where it's going? It's going to the 1%. It's going to the elite. And you know what they're doing? They're building their compounds in New Zealand. Their compounds in the desert. Because they can see what's coming. And they're hiring personal security forces to protect them. Because they don't give a shit about what happens to this planet. They think they have the wealth to protect them. But we need to stand together as a community and build a different kind of society. And this action is a part of that. Direct action stops the thing over there, the Port of Brisbane, that's destroying us. 98% of the trade in Australia goes through the ports. This is the third biggest port in Australia. So this is a direct action against the political and economic structure of Australia that is destroying this planet. And this tripod, it was part of a team. We did it all together. You know, you can call Blockade Australia many things. I call it a community. I call it a community of people that are building a new world, a new future, a new way of relating that's beyond the state. State organisation is what has fucked this planet up. State thinking, state people thinking you have to go to pay your taxes to the government and get permission to do everything. This is what we're trying to build, a way of connecting, communicating, grassroots organising, where people take responsibility for this planet and themselves and other people and care for each other. The other thing about this political and economic system is it sets people against each other. Capitalism creates scarcity. There's no scarcity on this planet. There's plenty of food for everyone. We have the cultural, technological knowledge to care for everyone. But we don't. Why don't we? Because we need to create scarcity so people struggle away and locked into the system. I was in Indonesia a few years ago visiting the orangutans in Sumatra and was getting a lift to the jungle, and the guy there who rode the taxi, his family were palm oil farmers. They cleared the rainforest to grow palm trees for oil. And he's locked into a system where he has to do that to feed his family. These guys are locked into a system where they think they have to drive these big cars in order to live and provide for their family. And they do. You do in this current situation. You want to provide for your kids. You want to give them a future that you think this system is going to create. You need to compete with other people. I've talked to cotton farmers. They know that the cotton is fucking up the environment. They know it's destroying the soil, but they're locked into this system. It's not a personal, even a moral problem. This is a political problem, a collective problem. We need to change the system that we're living in. So I don't want to lecture you. I don't want to hector you. So I'll take a breath. I don't want to be another bearded old guy on camera yelling at you. But I'm a bit passionate about it. I'm going to take a breath. The other point I wanted to make is the values that we stand for. We stand for a safe future. We want a safe future. for our children, for our children's children. I'm a grandfather. I want a safe future for my grandkids and everyone's grandkids here in so-called Australia and around the world. The other point I wanted to make is that there is climate breakdown knows no borders. What happens here in Australia, the emissions that we contribute to the atmosphere affect the world, and the world's emissions affect us. So there's no way to say this is a problem of the world or Australia. Our per capita emissions, for a couple of years, they were the highest in the world. The amount of carbon dioxide that Australia puts into the atmosphere was more than any other country. I think we're like number 2 or 3 now. But as part of the colonial Western project, we contribute far in excess of our size to the global situation. And what we do affects us and it affects the world. And what the world does affects us. This port is not just a symbol of the idea of exports, imports, exploitation. It's actually a manifestation of it. It's the direct thing that we're trying to block. The direct manifestation of the Australian political economic system. And it's a tangible one we can actually touch and disrupt. And so we stand for a future that's safe for the people of this continent and the people of the world. I might just take a breathe. I'll show you what's going on. Maybe I can have a look if I can swing myself around. Right. Maybe I'll look in the camera. It was a bit of a hectic action. I felt like, I don't know, how are we going to stop all these cars? But we did it. Everything looks pretty calm and collected right now. Yeah, a lot of people standing around. I guess I'm here for a while, so thanks for joining us. Maybe I could put my glasses on. I can't really read the comments. Yeah, Port of Brisbane. I'm at the Port of Brisbane. Blockading here in Meanjin, the land of the Yagara and Turrbal people who have been fighting this fight. Well, I don't want to appropriate their fight or say that I'm fighting the same fight, but I stand in solidarity with them. And yeah, they've been on the forefront of the fight against colonialism and ecological devastation like Indigenous people around the world. Evidence has proven that the Indigenous people who care for country, the Indigenous people who look after the land, actually look after it and don't bring the kind of devastation that Western colonialism has brought. So I definitely stand in solidarity with the Indigenous people in Australia, and the Indigenous people here have been on the forefront of the resistance. Aboriginal activists have been at the forefront for all kinds of activism, for human rights, standing up against the Springboks, I don't know, the South African team, standing up in Brisbane, marching for human rights when the Bianca Peterson government was just, arresting punks, taking them out in the bush and taking their shoes and letting them wander home. The Indigenous people have been, fighting this fight here and around the world. And, people have died. Like, there was 250 nations here when the British invaded. Those 250 nations came together and fought and died and had successes, had victories. And lest we forget the colonial wars. So, I don't know. I'm out of things to say. I'm going to take a glass of water and I'll be right back. Enjoy the view. Hey there, back again. I have a couple of notes in my pocket, if I can get them out. It's going to be interesting to see how they bring me down. Of course, I'll put it off as long as I can. I need my glasses too. I'm an old guy. Yeah, I love these comments from people who are just idiots. Like, come on, if you don't get the program by now, if you don't understand what's happening to the climate, then, fuck you. Well, flip the phone around. I don't know. There we go. All right, there's the road to the port. Oh, there's the traffic blocked up. Woohoo! Yeah, this is like a 9-meter tripod. Pretty high here. I feel pretty safe actually. The team that put this together are pretty, very experienced. We've had, I don't know if you know, but we've done this before. I haven't done it before, of course. I've never done anything like this before. But Blockade Australia was in Sydney last year. I think it was the anniversary yesterday, where they thought they were going to smash us, but no, we're back. We're back, and we're going to do big things. Oh, my rope just fell out. Better make sure. There you go. So, let's see if we've forgotten. I think I've hit all my talking points. Maybe I could, I don't know, people might get bored if I go through them again. Let's have a look around. It's a bit, that view's a bit boring. That's a better view, but I keep, drop my water bottle. You want to chuck it back to me? Anyway, it's hard to spin around. I can't face the other way. All right. So, yes, we're in a climate crisis, in case you haven't noticed. Everyone deserves a future on a safe planet. But when Australia blocks climate change, what do? You blockade Australia. The current economic and political structures are incapable of making the change that we need. The world needs for a safe future. We can tell that because it hasn't done anything. Global emissions continue to rise after all the evidence that we've had, after decades of the scientists telling us what's happening. But and now, the last few years, we don't need scientists. We can see it. The fires, floods, bushfires, droughts, heat waves. People are dying from heat waves. People are dying from bushfires, the floods that are just destroying towns. And but Australia still refused to act. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that it's incapable of acting. I think, climate denial has moved through various phases. I think the first phase was like, oh, that's not real, it's not happening. The second phase was, oh, it's not so bad. There might even be some positive, benefits. You might be able to go grapes in Canada. The third phase now is like, oh, we'll just switch to renewables. We'll do it. We'll put a carbon price in. What's happening? Emissions are still rising. So what's needed is systemic change, the kind of change that the current political system is not capable of delivering. So we have to change the system. Australia still is opening new coal mines, new gas mines. It's insane. So, as climate breakdown knows no borders, Australia is part of a global system of extraction and theft of resources that's been going on since Europe, that begun with European colonialism. European colonialism, the idea is you go to other countries, you steal their resources for a local elite in Europe. That process of colonialism is still going on. We have some elites in Australia now that, are benefiting from that. The 1% who are building their compounds to protect themselves from the effect of climate change. But who's paying for that? The land and the people. Wage labourers are paying for the theft of their work, the theft of their labour. As well as degrading the planet, this system pits people against each other by creating artificial scarcity. Scarcity of housing. The housing crisis is one of these. The food affordability crisis is another manifestation of this. But we stand for a future, a safe future for everyone, including, our children, our grandchildren, children throughout the world. A community that shares the wealth that we generate, this wealth of this planet, we share it instead of, stealing it, using the police forces of repression to enforce that theft and that system. What was Stradbroke? Yeah, exactly. So this is a form of direct action. This is we're blocking the thing. We're actually stopping the thing that's destroying us. This is not a symbolic action. This is a practical action that we're taking right now. That's actually stopping the system. And if people can get together, and like this process of direct action creates a community of people who think outside the current political and economic ways of thinking. They think outside state, hierarchical, imperial, colonial ways of thinking. It's hard. We've all grown up in this system. We need to learn new ways of relating. We need to learn ways outside of patriarchy, outside of, strict gender ideology, outside of racism. It's the legacy of colonialism. All these things are the legacy of colonialism. We need to think outside of this. By coming together, creating actions like this, we form a community and we change ourselves. We become post-state beings. We become people that relate to each other outside of those rigid hierarchies. So, and this will replace the state. If we build these communities, come together, build these networks, we will actually replace the state, because you can't change the state. The state will do what state does. So we will create a community that will replace the state. And that's happening, that's a movement that's happening in all sorts of places and all sorts of spaces at the moment, not just BA. Like BA is part of an anti-colonial movement that's all around the world that's growing. And that, Katrina, yes, I don't know. Hey, darling, thank you. Yeah, and I like to think of Dendali, the warrior, the Indigenous warrior who was executed, who fought for 10 years against the colonial powers here in Mianjin, who fought colonialism as it came to this country, and gathered people from, it was like 250 countries here on this continent, and they came together and formed a multinational force against colonialism here. And Frontier War Stories by Bo Spirum has a great podcast on Dendali, and I really recommend you listen to that. And I I dedicate this action to him and the resistance that has been going on for hundreds of years. Not just in Australia, everywhere, around the world. Everywhere the colonial empire reached. So, I don't know. Could go through my points again. I'm a bit bored with them now, but I don't know. Just going to enjoy the view.
Better hurry up and get your message through, mate. You'll be coming down pretty quick.
All right. Well, apparently I'll be down real quick. According to the police, they want me to get my message out before I'm taken down. So, all right. Well, I don't know. I just want to watch what's going to happen now. Let's see what they got. So I'm a bit curious to see how they're going to bring me down. They've gone the wrong way. So they're going to have to turn around. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I understand. We're not all perfect. Had a great shower last night. Thanks a lot. So apparently the police took a wrong turn, so they're going to have to go up on the hill and come back. So we'll get a good shot of them coming back in. So, yeah. I could go through my talking points again. If you guys want me to go through my talking points again? Or you can just bring yourself down. No, I don't think I'll do that. So we're in a climate crisis. Everyone deserves a future on a safe planet. But when Australia blocks that safety, we need to blockade Australia. Pretty obvious. Pretty obvious that we can't keep just pretending that things are going to be okay. Pretending that, the climate, pretending that this planet, the Earth, is something that we can, negotiate with. That we can just, make a deal with this planet and say, in a few years we'll have a carbon price. We'll all switch to electric vehicles in 10 years. But the planet doesn't care about that. The planet you can't negotiate with the planet. The planet won't listen to our pleas. We have to change the conditions, the economic and political conditions that's fueling this crisis, that's driving this crisis. And, the political system just has proven that it is incapable. Western democracies have proven themselves incapable in their current formation. I'm not saying I'm against democracy, but I'm saying the current formation of democracies have proven themselves incapable of dealing with this crisis. And I'm not criticizing people who are working for, reformist agendas who want to bring in renewables. It's great. Let's do it. But we need to, change the system at its root, because the kind of incremental reformist changes have proven to fail. But, we're all in this fight together. We're all fighting for a livable planet. And so, I support reformist, I support renewals, all that stuff. But let's change, to make the change that we really need, we need to change the society, the economic and political systems at a deep level. Climate breakdown knows no borders. Australia is part of a global system of extraction and theft of resources. Started with stealing the land, stealing the resources, stealing the labour of the working class. So, and then, this process has devastated ecosystems throughout the planet. As well as degrading the natural world, it's set people against each other, creating artificial scarcity, creating competition for resources that are not really scarce, that capitalism creates as scarce, that controls these resources, and then uses the forces of repression. The forces of repression to keep this system of exploitation in place. So, BA. Okay, I don't know. Let's have a look. I don't know what they're going to do. Could be a bit boring, but I don't know. They finally took the right turn, and here they are. There's the fire truck. A bit of commotion behind me. Looks like the fire truck has collided with something. So, just let you guys know, I'll just totally won't resist or anything. I'll just totally, I'm not resisting or anything. I'll just be down peacefully when you guys pull me down. I'm not going to fight back or anything. So, pretty sunrise. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Despite everything, it's beautiful. Even here on the road to the port, they can't destroy the beauty of the planet. Yeah, well, I don't know. Oh, yeah. So, just looking in the comments. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, thank you. I'm really happy to be out here. I'm out here, the work of, not just me, but a whole community of people. And, yeah, so this is the second day of action. Yesterday, my friend went up on a monopole. I think it was pretty close to here, I'm not sure. I saw it on the live feed. And I think in Melbourne and Newcastle had actions. I'm not sure what's... yeah, and this is our second day of action here in Meanjin. Joe can't wait till I fall. Like I feel like I feel really safe with the people that I work with. We're a community and we care for each other. We're quite skilled at this, and we know what we're doing. So I feel really safe up here. I don't feel totally safe with the police. They're kind of like pretty chill at the moment, but I've seen them in situations that they're not so chill. I've been pushed and shoved and choked by the police. I've seen my friends assaulted by the police, so I'm a bit wary of them. But in this situation, they seem pretty calm and chill. I'll probably, I'll go into the watch house now, and I feel like part of my political awakening occurred in the watch house. First time I went in the watch house, I just saw how there was no care for the people in the watch house. There were people in there with open sores on their legs. There were people obviously having psychotic episodes that were just not cared for. They were just shoved in a room and then, processed, and then some of them were just let out on the street with their obviously, infected blood. I could see the blood poison travelling up this guy's leg. He was homeless, he was in the watch house, and then he was just released out on the streets. So, part of my political awakening occurred in the watch house, where, you see the depths of how fucked up this whole system is. I shouldn't criticise the justice system right now, but I do have some criticisms for it. And so I'm an abolitionist. I don't believe we need the police. I believe that as we form a community that is not based on the state and state ways of being, that we can create, we won't need the police. We can create alternatives to the police. And, restorative justice and processes like that. The police are the problem. They're not the solution to anything really. I'm aware that there's a bit of a kind of, a conflict here right now. I'm relying on the police to keep me safe, so it's a bit of a problematic thing, but these are the strategies we use. We live in the world, and we live in a world that, I drive a car, so people criticise me for driving a car. But as I said before, this is not a personal problem. This is a political problem. This is a collective problem. We live in a world that has created by colonialism and capitalism, and we need to change that world. Sorry for the bad language. Sorry if that offends some people. I get a bit passionate. I know, no money from Centrelink for me. I'm not on any benefits or anything. I'm a fencing contractor, a member of the working class, and so, there's nothing wrong with being on the dole. I've been on the dole before. Less coal, more dole, I say. But, personally, I'm not on the dole at the moment, and not on any benefits, but there's nothing wrong with it. That's fine. We all live in the world. I had a fencing business, and I feel like that was a compromise. I was using concrete and fencing materials that, are problematic. Treated pine, it's not good, but how can we can't live in this world as it exists. We need to change the political and economic systems that are in place. We need to transform them. So, China? People are talking about China. So, I stand with anarchists, I stand with environmentalists, I stand with people who are working against the state in China. Same as Indonesia. I don't know much about China, but I do know a little bit about Indonesia. I know that there are environmental activists fighting for the environment, fighting for the ecosystem, fighting corporations and colonialism in Indonesia, including the West Papuans who are fighting the colonialism of Indonesia. So this colonialist system goes forth and transforms the world, and people all over the world resist, and I stand in solidarity with those people. And, I stand with solidarity with the protesters in Hong Kong. I think they, the umbrella movement, I think, was a fantastic movement that showed that how people all across the political spectrum can work together. They had people who were parliamentarians, they had people who were on the street, they had people who were actually fighting the police and being violent. No one criticised each other. They were all working together for the same result. And I'm working for the result of stopping climate catastrophe, and I work with the Greens. You know, I stand in solidarity with the Greens, with, 822, whatever they call, Just Stop Coal. I stand in solidarity with people, lobbying for a carbon price. We're all working for the same thing. We might have different ideologies or different, ways to go about that. But like the protesters in Hong Kong were standing against the Chinese government, I stand with all the people in the Green movement who are fighting for change. Man, I look homeless because I've been camping in the forest for, for a week. So, this is what it looks like when you're camping and you're not sleeping and you're kind of organising those kind of things. Anyway, it's fine to be homeless. What's wrong with being homeless? People are living on the streets. The housing crisis, which is an artificial crisis, has been, it's like part of the thing that, locks people into this system. The housing crisis puts people on this treadmill. Why do we have a housing crisis? I was reading the comments. I think people are a bit confused. Coal comes in by rail, but this action is not just coal. Australia is part of a global system of extraction that, goes beyond coal. The whole system is based on the theft of resources and land and wage labour. And, part of that is the container port that goes through here. 98% of they don't know what their plans are. They're kind of a bit confused about what they're doing, it seems. Should be. So, a bit about the setup. This is a, turn the camera. This is a tripod, like 9-metre high tripods, set up in the middle of the 2 lanes of the highway going into the port. It seems really safe I feel really safe up here. And so there's the inbound road coming into the port that we blocked. It'll be swell. But so here I am in the 9 meters up on the port, on the road into the port. When Australia blocks climate change, what do? You blockade Australia. The current economic systems have proven themselves incapable of dealing with the change that is happening on this planet. We've had decades of people telling us what is happening. Decades of this guy's heckling me. It's a bit annoying. Well, I don't know. It's putting me off a bit. But I don't know. Well, I feel like I've okay, what's your point? What's your point? You wanted to make a point. That's fine. I don't know. Seems like these guys are worried about my safety, but anyway. So, Australia's in the middle of a climate catastrophe. Despite, we've had decades of the science warning us about what's happening. The science is so solid, but it's just totally been ignored. And now the evidence is right in front of our faces. We've had floods, we've had droughts, we've had heat waves, we've had devastation across this planet. What's next? It's, and yet people are still denying what's going on. There's someone here who wants to deny that there's climate change. Yet there's no such thing as climate change. Is that what you're saying? Is there no climate change? Is there no climate change? Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Okay. They have no coherent argument. They're not making any coherent argument. They're just wanting to insult my appearance. So, I don't know. But unless you're a total fucking idiot, unless you're a total tool, you can acknowledge that we have a problem. And the problem is there a problem? Do you think there's a problem? Is there a problem? Do we have a problem? Do we have a problem on the planet? Do we? I'm the problem. Am I the problem? Well, what do you reckon? What do you reckon's happening on this planet? What do you reckon's happening here? What do you reckon's going to happen in 5, 10 years? What do you reckon's going to happen to your kids? If we keep doing... Do you have kids? Do you have kids? Do you have kids, mate? Do you have a niece? Do you have a nephew? Oh man, these people are so stupid. These people are so fucked in the head, mate. We've had this for so long. Okay, I don't know. Well, see, I'm not talking to this guy, I'm talking to you. People who acknowledge there's a problem. People who think there's something going on. Who know, what's happening on this planet. And, you can attack me? Fine, I don't know. It's like a bit annoying to be stuck in traffic for a while. But it's going to be far more serious what's coming down the road in the next 5 or 10 years unless things change. And the current political and economic system has proven that they're not capable of creating the kind of change that's going to stop runaway climate change. Global emissions just rise year after year after year, and they still rise. So what do we need to do? We need to change the system. We need to end this system that stole the land, stole the resources, devastated the planet. That is kept in place by policing, by armies, by violence. The only thing that's keeping it in place is the violence of the state. If we didn't have the violence of the state, we'd form our own ways of organising. We'd form grassroots collectives. We would care for each other. We'd care for the community. We'd care for the planet. But what is stopping us is this system of colonialisation that, came out here hundreds of years ago, stole the land, stole the resources, continues to steal it, steals it from you. And we need to end this. And this action is part of that process that is ending the colonial devastation of Australia. Well, I'm just going to have a drink of water. I'm feeling like my mouth is quite dry. I'm just going to switch the mic off and just show you the view for a while I get a drink. Okay. So I just wanted to say why I'm doing this action. I'm doing this action because I believe that, we deserve a safe future, that everyone deserves a safe future on this planet. And the current political, economic configuration of Australia is failing to provide that future, to provide that safety. We're rushing headlong into climate collapse. We can see it all around us. We've had scientists warning us for decades that we're facing this catastrophe and nothing's been done. Global emissions continue to rise. We're at the point now where we don't need the scientists to tell us what to do. We can see it in front of our eyes. Anyone who's, been to Lismore, been to Bega, you can see the fires, you can see the floods. We've had those red skies, those apocalyptic red skies. We've had those massive floods. We've had droughts. We've had heat waves. People dying from heat waves. What's it going to take? Well, the truth is that despite all of everything, despite all the evidence in front of our own, in front of our faces, the system has done nothing. Global emissions continue to rise, and that's why I'm here today. I'm here to say enough. I'm here to block the thing that is destroying us. It's over that way. It's the port. And the port is an actual physical manifestation. It's the actual thing. It's part of the economic political system that is destroying this planet. And the thing that we need to do is change the system. This is not a personal problem. The problem isn't me driving a car to get here this morning. The problem is not me being like a bad person because I eat meat. The problem, it's a political, it's an economic, it's a structural problem. We need to change the structures that are destroying this planet. We need to build new ones. And this action, this tripod, was built by a community of people coming together outside of the state, working in ways that are not based on state ways of being, not based on racism, on hierarchy, on gender ideology. We're working together as people with different skills, different talents, different abilities, different ages, but we all come together and form a community to disrupt the system. The policeman wants to talk to me for 30 seconds. Let's see what he has to say. Are you going to arrest me if I lower myself down? All right. Well, no. If you let me go, if you let me walk away, I'll lower myself down. Can I walk away? Okay, no. Yep. Oh, good. Yeah. No. So, yeah, I've just been directed to lower myself down, and that's not in the playbook. I guess they're going to use that fire truck, maybe? We'll see. We'll see what they do. We've got a helicopter over there. Sirens in the distance. So, So I guess it's pretty good. We've blocked both. I just realised we've blocked both lanes of the road now. So just one action by one person on a monopole has blocked both lanes of the road into the port. So I feel like, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Quite a successful action. I'm blocking the port because the current political and economic systems of Australia are incapable of of addressing the problems that we face with climate change. Climate change is rushing towards us. We've had decades of knowledge about the impacts of that, and global emissions keep rising. That proves to me that, we've argued, we've fought, we've voted, we've debated about this for decades, and still nothing changes. So that proves to me that the current system is just not able to make the kinds of changes that we need in order to have a safe future. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here on this monopole today. That's why I'm blocking this road, because the port is the actual thing that is destroying us. This physical structure is part of the global system of extraction and exploitation that is part of the global capitalist system that is destroying this planet. It's devastated communities around the world. It's destroyed ecosystems and creates artificial scarcity, creates food crisis, housing crisis, where these things do not need to exist. I stand for a community of people that care for each other, that share the vast resources on this planet, that feed, house, and care for one another. This is kind of interesting. I think they're going to bring the fire engine. They're going to bring me out on that, it looks like. I did drop my water bottle, so I'm a bit thirsty. But I have a bottle of juice. So, yeah, someone kindly put a bottle of juice in my backpack. Yeah, sorry about the vision while I just have a drink of water. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable up here. I've got a chair, and yeah, the rigging's been done great. Feel very well looked after by the team. Kind of fun going through, deleting and blocking comments, so if you don't hear me talking, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.